Yeah, what's up, kings and queens? We're back again, and as usual, we're going to remain our case to see what sense can we make out of it. Now, we all know what was the reason for today's court case. We were all expecting this judgment from Ratha. The judge Ratha was supposed to give us a verdict, and his verdict was supposed to be he's not discharging this guy. Now, we have to understand that this has been building up for some time. This is not new. We already had the feeling that he's going to give us this judgment. Most of the people already knew that this judgment is coming. This kind of judgment is coming. Now, you will be surprised that I agree with him. But it's not for the reasons that he placed on the table. I agree with him based on the fact that when he said there are some questions that needs to be answered, like that needs some answers. I agree with him. The questions that need answers is the questions that should be posed to Gininda and Baloyi. And generally the NPA, how did you come to the conclusion that these are the suspects? When Zungu, which I know, I hope, in fact, I know, but they have to call him. They're going to call him Zungu Senior. How did you guys come to the conclusion that Zungu said this when he's now denying this? And how did Zungu now change from my father was the one who heard about this and that to I'm the one who saw the whole thing, who was actually with these guys? When did that change? We were never given the the comfort of being told about that. Guys, the public, this is what happened. For us to decide to change from Zungu Senior to Zungu Junior being the one who saw everything is because this and this. We never got the reason. Now, the judgment is in. Judge Ratha has decided, no, these guys, accused number 4 actually has something to answer for. I disagree with him. The people who has something to answer for is Gininda and Baloyi. Now, to just show you that the judge is actually in concert with Baloyi, he was actually even asking him, what is that, what do you call that? Sorry, there's a bit of lag, so just bear with him. Bear with me, please. Bear with me. There's a bit of lag with my internet, but I think I'll come right. Now, the judgment that was delivered today, everybody was expecting it. In fact, myself, I'm happy that they delivered that kind of judgment so that we can just proceed. But I think the defense had to do it because they had to see what reasons will he be basing his judgments on, his future judgments on. Now we can see now, because I was just looking to see if the judgment that he's coming with will be able to, match or equal or even oppose or rebut what Numalo was proposing or was arguing. But you know what he did, Ratha? The first time that he spoke, he just discarded that notion that we should rely on. In fact, we should hang on him just totally rebutting Numalo's direct application. He's just going to base his judgment on the whole of the evidence. He's claiming that Numalo didn't traverse the evidence of stain. Numalo didn't traverse the evidence of Pinky. Numalo didn't traverse the evidence of Zungu. Numalo did traverse the evidence of the statements, the confession statement. Numalo didn't traverse the statements that were made during the pointing out. He's even now claiming that Zungu was on some photos there. You see that photo? You remember that photo which Advocate Muniz was asking Zungu about? Is that you? These guys are saying it's not you. Where he was claiming it's him. Now Judge Ratha believes that's Zungu. And it's funny that how he was narrating this Zungu story, it felt like he believes the whole story, like he believes it. Even he's even telling us that no, Zungu is not a perfect witness. He is even able to detail Zungu's crimes that he mentioned, yet he's embellishing some of the things that Zungu was saying, right? Like when he said Zungu said Sinako was shot dead. When we all know, and even Jeps even cleared it out today and some days before, when he said Sinako was injured, but he was never, like, he never passed away. I think even Snobile Mapisa even talked about that incident on one of episodes, right? But no, the judge is saying he killed him, and then the gun was thrown into the river. You see, like, there's another thing that's like keeps disturbing me about the judge, right? The fact that he misses names, he misses people's names, he misses places' names, he misses even the witnesses of the state. Like, he doesn't even care to really place them properly, their names on the record. Now I'm wondering, the people who will be looking at the appeal cases and whatever, whichever judges who will have to look at his evidence, will they will be able to ascertain what is he talking about when he's talking about because do you remember what he called Pinky Vitalingham today? And do you remember who he said was shot by Kwabeni? It's supposed to be Sinako, right? But he never said that name. He said it, like he covered himself by saying doesn't even matter. You know, that's what was even amazing to say, to ask Baloyi, what was that? And then he called himself to order. He said, I'm not even supposed to ask you. Like, he's just totally embarrassing. I just want to tell you that he's a total piece of work, because there's really nothing that's saying. In fact, in his judgment, there's a whole lot of fabrications that he made. I can't believe that there's something that he said when he was passing the judgment in terms of conspiracy. When he said, in fact, when he was explaining now his the authority that he was reading from, when he said, you can be in England, but if you are in alliance with the crime, you are guilty. Like, I mean, I was like, what? Is that so? Is this how these courts work? They don't really need much evidence to be convinced that you are guilty. You're just gonna rely on technicalities, right? Now, let's talk about. Let me see what I forgot. As I'm doing that, let's just play a little clip of what was happening with in court today, as he was detailing his judgment, so that you can hear the rubbish that was being played on record. When he was talking about photos, he was talking about the car. You know, the funny thing, when he was talking about the time, the cell phone data, right? Funny enough, I was able to pick that out, that just like the states, just like Baloyi and just like Siban, when they mention the time, as it was mentioned by Pinky, by Tillingham and Stein and whoever, they don't mention that time that the phones now were around you. In fact, Ratha didn't even mention the time. He just said the cell phone data points out that they were in around Phosphorus, the Muliriki Tower, the same argument that I've heard many times being rehashed on TikTok by, the proponents of the states, the people who support the state. And I heard it now, I heard it also being raised by Sibanda in his summary of when they were answering to Numalo's 174, and then now Judge Ratha is here talking about it. But one thing that they do, they miss talking about the time. What time? Around 8 o'clock, where were these people? They don't talk about it. They just want to talk about the Muleli Kitao. How fun is that? Right? Let's just listen to Judge Ratha being Judge Ratha, reading us the judgment, and then we'll take it from there. Let me just jog my mind, my memory, from my notes on what was happening. Let's take a listen, guys. We have big problems with this judge. But anyway, I'm just happy that he did what everybody was expecting.
In a Rover 4x4. We went there in a small car. When it was pointed out to him that actually that car is in one of the photos and it is red. Then he said, if it's so, it's possible. I did not particularly take care of the colors. At that time,
Sorry. I think it's the advert. Okay, not.
We were just enjoying ourselves. But the corner, but one thing about understand here, don't do Kulumo air, Lapoko Constant, long number. Ngesikhathi ngithenga kutshwala kathi akasana asiqiniseko ukukhumbula kahle ukuthi ngabe kade ngihamba ngemoto enjalo noma nashela imoto enjalo ngesikhathi kade ngihamba ngithenga kutshwala kepha kade kwimoto encane kade ngasengasiqiniseko sombala imoto kade kumbala ubomvu noma kade kuyimoto yombala omhlophe lapho ngesikhathi kade ngihamba ngithenga kutshwala kade futhi apho bekasele sekaphuzile zakhe futhi sekajabule akaze-ke awunake anake udaba lombala lwemoto engihamba nayo ngesikhathi ngithenga kutshwala.
And it's looking nervous as hell, right? I don't know. Something that also, sorry. Something that I picked up before I forget this. Judge Ratha is talking about people going to buy liquor, alcohol, and stuff like that. Right? He's talking about people going to buy liquor, but he didn't even investigate if Tops really opens on Sunday. Like, what information does he have to back up his story that Zungu actually was there? He went to buy beer at Tops. And another thing, nobody from that house, besides these accused that claim that Zungu claims that they were there, nobody, Kwabeni, never came to come and corroborate Zungu's statement. But Ratha says there's evidence that's corroborating Zungu's statements. Evidence like what? Because nobody, besides the confession, in the confessions, names are mentioned there. You know that what's happening with the names in accused number one's confessions. But now, in the, in all of the statements, the whatever identities that were given, whatever descriptions that were given by the witnesses, the people in the house, nobody mentioned his name. But how is the judge saying this Zungu's evidence is corroborated somehow? It's a problem, man. Let's listen up some more, and then I'll close up the live. I just wanted to just point out some of these things that are glaringly out there. The judge didn't bother himself to look into those. He didn't.
Also says because he's a policeman and himself pistol in his possession and it was drinking free. He had to safeguard it. He requested Gwabeni to safeguard it for him, and apparently he put it in his bedroom or in a cupboard. And then he also gave him over the keys of his car. But if people emsebenzini kepha ngoba kade ehlezi lapho-ke nabafowethu ephuza nabo-ke wacela kugwabeni thizeni kamsiza amthendeleke isibhamu sakhe sokusebenza noma isibhamu sakhe silapha emsebenzini ukuthi gwabeni akafika amafika ngaphansi kombhede uma afaka ngaphakathi lapho-ke kuwadrophu kepha-ke ufuthi wabuye wamnikeza lapho-ke inkhiya zemoto zakhe ukuthi nazo amgcinele zona. And part of his evidence, Zungu, he says, at some stage, accused number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they vanished. And he says he became aware that they vanished. When they returned en masse, they vanished, all of them. And when they came back, they returned as a group which had vanished. So there's nothing controversial or startling about that. Bathi futhi uzokhona-ke udaba lobufakazi bakhe ukhuluma ukuthi-ke umsola wokuqala, umsola wesibili, umsola wesithathu nomsola wesine-ke kunalakhona futhi behamba khona mhlawumbe banyamalala khona-ke athi naloko akaze aqaphe ngesikhathi sakhe kunyamala ngaso noma ngesikhathi enahamba ngaso-ke kepha kwanqapha ngesikhathi eside nibuya ngaso ngoba nafika nihamba njengethimba noma njengeqembu uma phela nibuya lapho nikhona. Lungu said accused number 1, 2, 3. Who did it?
Sorry, man, the network is kind of choppy. It's kind of choppy, the network, so just bear with me there.
Ungakhuluma ukuthi-ke umsola wokuqala nomsola wesibili futhi nomsola wesithathu ibona abafika kuqala-ke laphayana futhi ngesikhathi befika bade behamba bonkana amabesemuva bese bahamba baye ngaphakathi kwegumbi lakagwabeni. And he said after some time, an appreciable time, accused number 4 and 5 followed, and they also went into Gwabeni's room.
I just want to stop it here. I think you got the gist. I just wanted to drive the point home that Judge Ratha is basing his whole... This is the point that I want to drive home. Judge Ratha is basing his whole argument, his whole judgment. He's lying to us when he's saying he's basing it on all the evidence that is there. But what he read to us most, the most thing that he highlighted to us was Zungu's statement. That's why I think he picked up most of the problems, most of his questions, his answers from. Anyway, guys, let me not talk too much. We knew that this judgment was coming, but let's hope for the strategy that the defense is going to adopt from now on is definitely going to expose the state, right? Because I feel like Zungu Senior needs to come and just clarify what happened, and then now Judge Ratha will have to tell us why he based the whole of his judgment on Zungu Jr. when his father denies that. And you know, it's amazing that Judge Ratha is always telling us about the YouTubers, the news and what. But are you telling me that he didn't hear about Zungu's father coming out? He heard about it. He's just happy that that evidence is not in front of him in court. The fact that Zungu's father is rebutting all of this. He's happy there, but he will be surprised. Now, when it's time for that evidence to come in front of him, let's see now what kind of action will he take. Will he turn into a real judge because up to so far it's just been totally biased. We all can see. And I was just wondering, like just looking at the comments today, the supporters of the state, as Atlantis called them, the 3%ers or the 5%. I don't know what the 3% is like. These people were somehow like celebrating, and I don't see any win for the state because the state is now getting into more danger. They're getting into more muddy waters because all of the witnesses that the state didn't call, that obviously are going to denounce the evidence, are going to be called by the defense. And now let's see how the judge take the evidence. Will he take it as a holy word, like he's taking Zungu's evidence? I doubt so. We saw how he treated somebody who's supposed to be an honest cop, Mr. Maku, Officer Maku, like Warrant Officer Maku. We saw the treatment that he was getting, even alluding to the fact that somebody could be somebody polishing the shoes of somebody, and then you call him a lead investigator. You just see the level of respect that he's directing towards the witnesses that are supposed to be for the defense. Anyway, guys, let me not take too much of a time. I'm happy that I had some people checking this out, and those who like, thank you for that. Just watch the ads. It will support us financially as we're going along. I'm gonna go, and then we're gonna come probably in a few weeks just to analyze some of the rubbish evidence that has been led by the state to try to convict these 4 guys. The fact that Ratha is mentioning the car was not what it was red, like no witness who was on the scene in the house or even outside ever mentioned any car, even the color of the car. But now Judge Ratha has some evidence. Somehow he has had that evidence that no, there's a color of the car that was mentioned, which is different from the one that he supposes that accused number 5 was driving. Now, another thing, he says accused number 4 agreed to align himself with the footsteps of accused number 3, according to the records that were read by Pinky Vertillinger. So according to Ratha, that's just basically admitting that you were there. Now, why don't you read the records up until 8:30, the time of the crime, to see if the accused are still there as you place them, as you allege that they could have been there. Anyway, guys, let me not take too much of time. I just wanted to place these factors on the table. Let me not be somebody who arrests your time. I'm gonna be out. Before I do that, please like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so that when we drop more content